Welcome back, everyone. This is Ahsan Raza, your host for the Real Estate Show. Today is episode number 10, which is a milestone episode for us because we've made it this far, and hopefully we'll keep going. And today I've got a big guest on the show, someone who I've watched online for quite a bit, never met in person, first time today. I've got Nima Khadem from Roll Pay Signature on the show today, who's going to help us and give us some advice on the market and also some market stats. Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Nima, I got to say, like, one of your traits that I really like about what you do online is basically your way of explaining the numbers when it comes to market stats. So a lot of times my market reviews, I actually look at yours and I kind of copy that, but I would say I'm not ashamed to do that because you do a really good job. And I was telling you off screen that one thing that I really admire is that you're really captivating with your numbers. Most people, when they're talking about numbers, sales up or down, what I find is it kind of gets boring. I don't know what it is about you, but it's really captivating. So what is it about your style that you can make it interesting when it comes to numbers?
I guess when you love real estate too much, that's what happens. The real estate stats go up, it's good. It goes down, it's still good. It's funny that people actually, I see them like panicking. I mean, like January, we had one of the lowest number of sales historically, 3,100. And, I see it in the market. Everyone is saying, what's going on?
Yeah.
The way I look at it, I mean, like, we're pretty busy as it is. And there's a lot of opportunities out there. Yeah. And there is no reason to panic because I still see multiple offers happening if you're pricing it right.
Right.
If you're stuck, in 6-7 months ago, then, nothing is going to be good for you. But, every day there's new opportunities.
Yeah. And I guess, kind of going off that comment that you made is right now, we're about mid-February. Like me personally, I've seen the market activity go up a little bit. Like I had a couple of listings in December, no action whatsoever. January rolls around and both sell firm, right, within a week. So are you seeing that same activity now? Are things changing slowly?
So exactly. I mean, it's funny because during Christmas time, like between Christmas and New Year, we had 2 listings that sold both in multiple offers and they were pretty quiet, but they just sold quickly. One of them sold over asking, the other one sold for full asking. And I knew there was a shift happening and that was because of the lack of inventory.
Right.
We roll into January and, we could see it. We had buyers anywhere from Aurora all the way to Oakville. Yeah. And we started seeing if you're pricing a property right, if you're doing the right marketing, if you're staging it properly, it sells. I mean, like what stays on the market are the stale properties that are not priced right. There's something wrong with them and they're not selling. But if you're doing it right, we had one in Mississauga. That area is a great area, but things don't tend to sell quickly. And the sellers were thinking about, kind of holding it off till March, things pick up. But, just looking at the stats, I'm like, there is no reason to hold it. Like if you price it right, if we actually do the right marketing, we stage it so nice. Like I was looking at it, like I love the house. Like, if that was the area I would be wanting to move to, I would be buying that house. I would be the first one. Put it on the market, probably around 11 a.m. By 5, 6, we had so many calls. We had 23 book showings.
Wow. Okay.
And that night, we received 6 offers.
Wow.
Next morning, it was sold. And it actually sold way above asking, way above what we expected to sell. Sometimes you price the property low to get multiple offers. This wasn't priced low to get multiple offers.
Right.
So we were like just slightly above what we were expecting.
Yeah. But so are you noticing that, is it because of the news that came out where rates are going to pause for now? Is that what's, I guess, increasing buyer confidence, or is it just pent up demand right now? Like, what do you notice that's causing this activity?
I wouldn't say it's that because, there's still a chance that the rates would go up, but I think it's the pent up demand. For the last 5-6 months, we've been hovering well below the historic average in terms of sales. There's a lot of people on the sidelines just looking out to, what's going on. And right now with the news being out that, inflation is getting under control, we're seeing less number of listings being on the market. So if someone is on the market, they're looking at something and they see a good deal, they will go for it. There's not much options out there to choose from.
Right. And then just to kind of unpack that a little bit, like historically what we've seen is that the spring and fall time usually are considered the best times to list your property. But I would kind of argue that January, February, March is not a bad time because it's less competition. Like, what are your thoughts on that strategy?
I'll tell you something. I've been watching the market for the last, I would say 7 years, 8 years, going back all the way to 2015. And if you go back and look at it, usually the higher prices of the
Yeah.
homes, like some of the outlier ones, are happening around February.
Right. That's
And
interesting.
then, because you get those, because not a lot of inventories are out there. People that were shopping back in November, December, they didn't find anything. They roll back into the market towards the end of January.
Yeah.
And you see that one house that they like,
Right.
and they'll go for it.
Right.
I mean, I was looking to sell my house a while back ago, and I was always thinking of putting it in January, February.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the 2017.
Yeah.
And I saw the outliers. I kind of waited. April happened, everything came down. But it was funny to me that I knew that February was the time to sell.
Right. Right.
And even going back to last year, I was calling all the builders, everyone that I knew they wanted to put on the market. And I told them to literally, things are going to start slowing down after March. And they were like, oh, my backyard is going to look beautiful. I'm like, no one really cares.
No one cares
about the backyard. You want the price. Right now is the time.
Yeah, that's interesting, because even when I'm talking to my clients and stuff, and like we do showings in January, February, I always felt like, especially now, that conception that it's too cold, people aren't going out to buy houses in the winter. I don't agree with that, because nowadays, like, the inventory is so low. And I feel like once the new year rolls around, people are kind of in a new mindset where they have their goals in front of them. And one of the goals, let's buy a house. And people are out and about. Like, I've seen our open house a lot busier this month and last month.
It's been crazy.
Which compared to December, I'm like, where do all these people come from? So it's a good thing. But going on that question is, do you think, based on your numbers, you're a numbers guy, like, do you think we've kind of bottomed out in the market, or is there more of a correction to happen given the uncertainty right now in the market?
So the way I see the market, majority of the correction has happened. And I've been saying it even on my own shows, that if someone is in the market, they should be looking at the deals right now, because I think that window has almost closed down, especially back in June, July. A lot of people had bought homes and they wanted to sell, and they had to sell their home. They could find deals. That window closed around August. Here and there, you would get some deals. Right now, if someone wants to wait further, how much further do you think it's going to fall down? 1%, 2%? I mean, like, we've already down. Brampton was down about 28%. Mississauga, 29%. Yep. Cool stat is January of 2022, average detached in Mississauga was sitting at 1.96 million.
Wow. Okay.
Right now, it's sitting at 1,386,000 or something.
Yeah, that's a big discount.
That's a huge discount. Yeah. And how much further do you want it to go? I mean, we know the interest rate is not going to go another 4% higher. Right. If it goes up another 0.25 or something. So I think we are in the bottom. I think we're in the bottom right now.
Yeah. No, I would tend to agree with you as well. Like, I feel like that window of opportunity is closing. And I know a lot of my viewers or people listening are like, oh, you know what? You're just trying to get people to go in the market. But to be honest with you, genuinely, like, we've seen that price correction happen probably last year from maybe April to like the summertime. But when I saw the stats in July, August, September, October, it kind of flatlined.
I wish I had my dot chart graph here, because I would show it, like, literally since July that we bought them at around 1,078,000.
Right.
We were hovering around that number for 4 or 5 months. Right. I mean, December, it's always a slow, so it dipped down low. January, it dipped down lower just because there was nothing to sell.
Right.
But I mean, we were hovering around 1,040,000 to 1,070,000 for the last 5-6 months. Yeah. And that is the support line, because people that are looking to get into the market, the affordability around $1 million is high, especially on detached market. So for it to come down lower, there's a lot of people right now that are looking for properties that I don't think it's going to fall down, like, let's say 800,000, 900,000. There's no chance. I don't see a chance unless there's a drastic.
Something drastic happens or a catastrophe. Yeah. So speaking on another subject right now, in terms of, like I said, you're a numbers guy, and I watch a lot of your stuff on Reality Check, which is a really good show, by the way, if you want market stats. And you focus a lot on the micro numbers. So in general, when as realtors, we give a report, we talk about GTA on a broad level. But what I like about yours is you talk about Oakville, York Region, Durham, and kind of drill down to that micro level. For buyers or sellers, why do you think it's so important to understand the micro level stats compared to the general stats? What's the reason for that?
See, the problem is people look at stats, and, when media talks about stats, it's all about all types of housing, condo to detached, and everywhere from it's TREB numbers. So we're looking at GTA. So, but when you actually go dive down and look at the numbers, for example, right now, Toronto is, I think it's over 3 months of inventory, 3.5 months of inventory. But is it really over 3.5 months inventory? Because I don't see no detached on the market, and the ones that are priced well, they sell like this.
Right.
So what's going on with 3.5 months of inventory? It's all the condos.
Yeah.
All the condos downtown Toronto that are saturating the market, but that's not a good depiction of what's happening in Toronto. Because if me as an outsider look at it, I'm like, oh, good time to go buy some house in Toronto.
Yeah.
But no, that 3.5 months is skewed because of the condo market.
That's a good point.
There's a great time to get into the condo market, but detached, I mean, good luck finding something around 1.2 to 1.7 million.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's different house segments. There's a detached, there's a semis, there's a townhomes, there's the condos. And sometimes you got to decipher between the four or five different segments because things sell at a different pace, right? You can't, just because the condo market is down, you can't say the entire market is down, right? Or if the housing market is down, doesn't mean the condo market is down either. So it really depends on which segment you're interested in. But going back on the condo market, like I know you do a lot of work in condos and know a lot about that stuff. Where do you see the condo market right now? And what's your prediction for 2023 when it comes to investing in condos or buying condos? Do you think it's a good time?
I think right now is the time to get into the condo market for two main reasons. One, the prices have come down from their peak.
Right.
Although condos haven't had the crazy drop that the detached has had. Like in Toronto, it's come down by about I think around 10%.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the rents have gone up drastically.
Right.
So you're getting a discount on the same property that you were going to buy back in March. You're getting $50,000, $60,000 less.
Right.
But the rents right now compared to February, March is up by about 20%.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to get into an investment property that is priced on the lower end of it, I'm thinking anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000 and have a good cash flow, condo is the way to go.
That's the way to go. What are some hotspots in the GTA in general right now that you're recommending to your clients that they can get into that would still be affordable? And in the GTA, even outside the GTA, maybe on the outskirts, what are some places that you're recommending right now to invest in?
So right now, Durham region is like the average price is below $900,000. And we've seen lack of inventory there, which is an indication that the prices are soon going to go up.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking below that $1 million price point, that is the place to go. And as a matter of fact, you could find detached properties right now in Durham for below $1 million easily.
Right.
And the rents are amazing.
Right.
You could rent them easily. And the rental rates are much higher than comparable ones in Richmond Hill, Toronto, or whatnot.
Right.
So that's one area I would recommend. Second area is Oakville, which we've been talking on my own show like for the last 3 months.
Yeah,
there's been an influx of inventory, not a lot of sales, but in February, what I'm seeing is that number is coming down because a lot of people that had to sell have dropped down the prices and the inventory is absorbing. And we've seen multiple offers happening in Oakville. So these are the two regions. And I would say downtown Toronto condos. If anyone's looking to get into the real estate market, entry level point, 500 to 600. Downtown Toronto, also assignments. There are deals out there to be had on assignments that I think people should look at.
Actually, that's a good point. I didn't have that as a question, but you brought it up actually. Assignments, like talk to our audience about what an assignment is and why can they get a good value on that right now in this market?
So, I mean, assignment is essentially when you buy anything pre-construction. In this specific reason, we're going to talk about condos. So you buy a condo and you will assign the contract and every right or whatever it's in it to someone else. You sell that contract to someone else. In most cases in Toronto, there's been in a way that you would make profit on the assignment. You bought something, let's say at $500,000. 4 years ago, now the market's gone up $600,000. They will pay you, the new purchaser will pay you the original deposit, let's say 20%, and the $100,000 that's gone up. So they have to pay you $200,000 to get it. And they will gladly do that because on the market, probably that unit is hovering at a higher price point than the $600,000. Right now, funny enough, because of some people not being able to get mortgages or for whatever other reason, they are either letting them go at the same price they bought it 4 or 5 years ago. And we've seen recently that some of them are actually letting go below. So that means they're giving up portion of their deposit. They're like, listen, just take the unit off my hand. And it's funny because we actually made a group. We got a bunch of our clients in there because everyone was asking about it. Over the last 4 weeks, we've had probably at least 8 or 9 great examples of units selling 5 to 10% and one at 12% below what they paid 4 and 5 years ago.
Really? Okay. So there's deals to be had in
there's deals to be had,
market.
yeah.
That market, absolutely. So that's a really good point for investors looking in the market right now. I mean, there's a resale market, there's a pre-construction, but there's also the assignment section, which I think you can actually get the most out of your money and get a good deal in that market.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Last couple of questions, Nima. I know you did a video about the foreign buyer tax, and there's also the vacant home tax. And there's a little bit of controversy about those topics because are they really going to help the market? Is it really going to curb the rental market or the housing market? With the foreign buyer tax, like there's so many exemptions, right? What are your thoughts on this? Is it just a play on words? Is it actually going to help curb the market in the GTA?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is they came out with the foreign buyer tax, then they kind of came out with the ban.
Yeah.
And then you go through the details of it. That ban is, I mean, it's, unless someone I would say is coming to visit Canada and want to buy a house, there's almost no other ban because if you are on a work visa, there are ways around it. If you're a student, there are ways around it. Even if you're just visiting here, buying something that's, I think, 3 units or higher, you can easily buy it. So if you're buying a triplex or you're buying, let's say, duplex with a legal basement, so, you could probably get away with it. So the percentage of foreigners purchasing, because they've been tracking it since the last time they implemented that tax, it's so little that I don't see it having any major, like any impact. It's all mental.
Right.
And, first time they put that on, people panicked. And then once the numbers came out, they realized, there was nothing really to it. So I don't see that really curbing the demand that much. But again, it does a little bit, but it's not going to solve the real issue, which is supply.
Yeah.
And then the vacant home tax, again, another issue. They put that on because they wanted more rental properties on the market. So if someone's buying, they're leaving the country, don't leave the house empty. And realistically, how many people do you know that have done that? I mean, I've seen it.
Many,
that's the whole thing. Like, not a lot of people leave their homes vacant because if you're not in a home, something happens to the house to begin with. You also have insurance problems for people who don't know. If you have a house and it's vacant, like, if insurance knows that a lot of insurance companies don't insure the house. But with that being said, I personally, the only types of properties that I've seen that people leave them empty are the ones that are purchased, like the custom big custom houses. Chinese buy, Russians buy something Persian buy, and they leave them empty. And the number of those are so minimal that it's irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I think I'm on the same page because, I always talk to brokers like yourself and others who are at a high volume of sales. And one question I asked them, I was like, how many foreign buyers do you actually work with? And as far as some people say, they don't work with any of them, right? And these are like top brokers that we're talking to. So that number is a very small scale. I always thought that these, government rules and regulations were there to just kind of, it was a Band-Aid solution almost. And in the media, it looks great as if like you're doing something, but I honestly think it doesn't do anything, to be honest with you. In fact, I think it just creates this shock in the system and builds up even more pent-up demand, because when people realize that this isn't actually working, everyone comes back all at once.
You're exactly right. Yeah, because there's going to be a delay of, let's say, 6 months that people realize, that really didn't solve anything. So let's get back in the market because the prices are going up.
Right.
And once people start seeing prices hovering up, that's when people are going to come out the woodworks and they start going to, like all the bidding wars are going to come back on.
Right.
And, in terms of those two components, it's government just wanting to say, listen, we're doing something. In my opinion, there's no real solution to that. What they need to do, in my opinion, is, for example, fix the issue red tapes in development. I mean, I'm do some land development, but the problem with land development is anything you want to do will take you 3 to 5 years easily. That shouldn't be like that. It should be a year and a half, then so you can supply more properties.
Right. But do you think long term, like in the GT, are we ever going to solve the supply crisis? Like I believe the reason why prices are doubling like every decade is because we're always going to be in a supply crisis. We're always going to have a shortage of homes. Even if you had a target to make this many homes, I don't think we have the labor to do that.
That's so true.
So 10 years from now, 20 years from now, like, I know it's a big question, but like, what do you see? Are we just going to keep going up and up and up? And what's the solution for supply?
With the way things are going, I don't think the supply issue is going to ever be solved in Toronto, especially with the number of people coming to
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the forecast for about 500,000 people coming into Canada, majority of them coming to Toronto.
Yeah.
And problem with labor shortages,
Yeah.
all these pre-construction condos getting delayed left, right, and center, some of them getting canceled. And there's another issue that's a whole another topic with the inclusionary zoning that, every certain percentage of each condo now is going to be dedicated to subsidized housing or whatnot. The cost of living is going to go up higher.
Right.
So I don't think that supply issue is ever going to be solved unless they come up with something drastic to fix the labor and fix the way they give permits.
Right. So, I mean, if I'm a young investor, like in my 20s or 30s right now, and I'm thinking that, GTA is priced out for me, like, what do you see the solution is for someone to still get back into the market to become an investor and not feel the pressure of rising prices? Like, what are some things that you're advising to your younger clientele if you have?
So here's the thing. I mean, if you're buying for investment, don't be fixated on the location, first of all. Like, getting the market, like, you shouldn't, like, don't expect to get in prime downtown location. Yeah. Second, no one's first property or investment property is going to be like their ideal place. Like, especially if you want to live in a place, like, you got to start and go up that property ladder. Get into a condo downtown, 400 square feet, 500 square feet, just to get started, and then go up from there. If you don't want to be in a condo downtown, you can go to the outskirts.
Right.
I mean, Whitby, Oshawa, go all the way north, East Gwillimbury, West Gwillimbury, Keswick, Barrie. I mean, right now in Barrie, I saw some condo deals. You can buy a 1-bedroom plus 10 for $400,000, $450,000. And you get parking, you get locker, and you're in downtown location. It's a great area, but that's the way to go about it. And you don't necessarily have to go live there. You can easily go and, get one of these places, rent it out, and then go rent downtown if you like, because if that's what works for you. But you got to be in the market so you can grow, because after 5 years, you realize the equity growth and how much of your mortgage you've paid down.
Right. And that's a good point, because this is a story I share a lot with my clientele, my viewers, not to impress them, but to show them that if I can do it, so can you. Where my first property I bought wasn't a property I lived in. So I was still with my parents at the time. And we saw this condo come up in Markham. It was like $400,000 at the time. And put all my savings in there. I said, just go for it, jump all in. 4 years later, that property enabled me to actually buy my first home that I wanted to live in. So what I'm trying to say is that you can still rent a property and buy an investment property, whether it be a condo or a house somewhere else, and enjoy where you live. I think people get stuck in this notion is like, you know what? The first house I want to buy is the house I want to live in. Yeah. But I think when you do that, you kind of miss out on opportunities where you could have got a condo for like $500,000 or a house somewhere else. And that condo or property could enable you to actually expedite your savings and then buy your first home, which is what I did, right? I guess if you have a story about your investment, what was your first property like?
So that's the whole thing. So my first property was a pre-construction condo. I bought it at Yonge and Eglinton back in the day. Like, I mean, Yonge and Eglinton wasn't even considered as good as this. This goes back to, I think the purchase time was in around, if I'm not mistaken, 2004, 2005 as pre-con. And like no one looked at pre-con back then, but that was the only thing that was affordable. Right. 1-bedroom condo. And I thought I was going to live in it, but when I actually saw it, I'm like, holy crap, like this is tiny. But, and I, again, because of the mortgage, I mean, even the mortgage was almost nothing, but I'm like, listen, you know what? This is not going to work out. I'm going to rent it out. Yeah, because things change, right? Your life changes and things happen. Yeah. And you know what happened? I mean, we always think, oh, I'm going to carry this condo for a year. God, what's going to happen? No, like that 4 years went by. Wow. And literally the price doubled up in 4.5 years. Yeah. And then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, okay, let me move into it. Yeah. The tenant moved out. And I'm like, you know what, let me see if I can sell it. Yeah. And funny enough, back then, like I wasn't an agent, so I had no idea about staging. Like we had an agent, tried to sell it, didn't work out. I'm like going in, I'm like, I've heard of this staging. So I bought a bunch of furniture. And it's funny, we were going to take it off the market, but the last 2 showings happened with half my furniture in it. Both of them brought offers. Really? And I'm looking, I'm like, how did this agent not tell me this is going to be staged? Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? It's good. Let's sell it. So I sold that, bought a house with it, and a portion of it, there was a deal on a pre-construction condo for 5%. Yeah. I bought it, and it was actually at Shops at Don Mills. Okay. So And back then, everyone's like, Shab is like, what would you want to live there? And I'm like, running the number. I was like, it's going to grow. It's like changing.
Yeah.
With 5%, I got that. And it kind of snowballed from there. So, I mean, right now, whoever says, pre-construction is overpriced, buy this, buy that. I'm like, listen, if you can qualify, go buy a resale.
Yeah.
If not, there's a ton of good deals out there on pre-con.
Right.
You put down the 5%, 10%.
Yeah.
And 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, you got a property.
Yeah, it's almost like a forced savings mechanism where, especially if you're younger, like if you look at some of the deals out there right now in this market where builders are throwing incentives at you, like there's no better way to actually save your money, because now you have to save it because you have to put 5% each year.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what can happen in 2-3 years. Whereas for my condo, when I first bought it, I remember the values went up by like 150,000. Yeah. And my family was growing. I said, you know what, it's time to upgrade and get a house, right? And we had one showing on that property. That's it. Yeah. And I was scared. So it was one showing, but that one buyer came and gave me a phenomenal price.
There you go.
And we closed, right? So the possibilities are endless in real estate, I believe. But just to wrap it up, thanks so much, man. Your insight's been amazing. Last question I have for you is, where do you see 2023 going from start to finish? How do you think we're going to end off the year for sales and average price?
I'm actually ordering a crystal ball
there you go.
through Nick. But the way I see 2023 going, I mean, so far, we've seen lack of inventory. And as soon as people realize there is no more rate hikes, because right now still the numbers haven't come up, we're talking February. But once there's a good indication from the media, from the government that, rate hikes are done, people are going to come out the woodwork. They're going to start like purchasing properties.
Yeah.
And once people see prices are inching up,
right,
that's when things are going to kind of get out of control.
Yeah.
And what's going to fuel it is if towards the end of 2023, either they pull back the interest rate or banks increase their discounts on the mortgages. Okay. So mortgages become a little bit less.
Yeah.
Prices are going to go up. How much do I think it's going to go up this year? I mean, I think we're going to be in the single digit, 5-6%, maybe 7%, but this is an average.
Right.
Different property types could be different.
Right.
But my question to you is, when do you think we're going to have the double digit increase?
Oh, which year? That's a good question.
23, 4, 5, 6. Or
me personally, I look at it as a 5 to 7 year cycle when it comes to our market. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in 2025, in my opinion.
Right.
Could be wrong. What about you? What do you think?
So I think when we're going to again see the craziness, let's say it happened back in 2016, 17, and then here again, 2021, I think it's going to be probably start of 2025.
Really?
Yeah, okay. I think that's what, if things stay constant, I mean, nothing else happens, new version of COVID doesn't come out, something else comes out. Yeah. But I think starting January, February of 2025, we're going to see again, lack of inventory really like surface again. Yeah. And rates probably, hopefully dropping in around, 4%. Yeah. And I think that's when things are going to go up again.
Right. So I think to sum it up, I think that window of opportunity, in my humble opinion, is closing. Yeah. There's still some great deals to be had out there. My advice to my clients has always been, even if you're waiting on the sidelines, never lose your pulse on the market, because you just never know when that deal happens. And just happened 2 weeks ago where we went to go see a home with a client and we got a great deal about 50K below asking. And I think we caught it at the right time. I think if that listing was available today, it would have sold close to asking price.
You're exactly
you got to move really quick.
You got to have, like, as clients, they got to be pre-approved. They got to be in the market. Right. You don't necessarily have to buy it, but just see what's on the market.
See what's out there.
One deal
that's
that comes,
that's it.
You get that deal, and that's it.
Absolutely, absolutely, amazing. So that wraps up our real estate questions. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, which I didn't tell you about, but we do this every episode. Just some fun little questions for you to kind of get to know your personality. What's your favorite movie or TV show that you enjoy on a regular basis?
So Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Show 2.5 Men.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Okay.
The first seven, 8 seasons with Charlie.
Charlie. Okay, not Ashton Kutcher. Okay, Charlie. What is your favorite place to travel?
Favorite? I like to go everywhere. Okay. But I would say if I were to go back to one of the places, Marbella.
Okay, Marbella. Nice. What do you like about that?
It was just such a chill and laid back place.
Nice.
And the weather was good.
Awesome. And last question is, what's the best piece of advice someone has given you that's resonated to you till this day?
nothing easy.
Yeah.
No, nothing worth doing is easy.
Nice.
Yeah. So anytime I'm like, I'm getting tired of doing something, I'm like, what, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Right.
And, doing podcast shows is a good example of it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it wasn't easy, but like, now I see it. And just like yourself, you see the benefits of it, like just education. It's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, thanks. I think that wraps it up really, really well. Thank you so much, Nima, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Right, this is episode 10. We had to make it big with Nima, so I appreciate that. If you like the content we're putting out, all I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have Nima's content information here as well. Do check out his show, Reality Check. It's an amazing, captivating show where you can learn about market stats on a regular basis. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.